Alright, so here are the second video of my Lizardmen versus some Dark Elves in a big 6,000 point game. We are now on my turn of turn 2. The combat over here, my Stegodon beat up on those Dark Riders. I actually lost but held, and then the Witch Elves with Hellebron beat those skinks, wiped them out, and then overran into the side of my Stegodon, and with that strength 10 sword of Hellebron, my Stegodon won't be lasting long. In the other combat, brave Mazdamundi charges in, so we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, on this side, you can see I dual charged two of my Stegodons into one of the Hydras, and through impact hits alone, I was able to kill it. And my Skinks just moved out of the way of the Hydra. The Razodon rallied, and you can see in the big combat, I actually won. You know, in the magic phase, I raised them back up. One of the things I forgot to mention is before, he really shut up my ancient Stegodon that had the Skink Chief on it, but through my life magic, every successful casting healed him back up, so the Stegodon now has 4 wounds again. But anyway, in the main combat, I beat him and broke him, except for the Corsairs. They held, so there's a few of them still there, and they're pretty much doomed now. But the 2 Hydras, they're off and running, and Mazdamundi's hot on their trail, so hooray. Then on this side, the Skinks with Croxagore move up and javelin another one to death. My Saurus move back while the Salamander, Engine of the Gods, and those other skirmishing Skinks on the far right move up to try and support that combat. Dark Elves turn 3. His Hydra charges my Razodon. I dual stand and shoot but don't do anything. And his Corsairs with Lock here charge my Saurus, but there's no reason for me to fight yet. I have a lot of room to flee, and so I do that and I get away. So at the end of the turn here, you can see that yes, Strength 10 Hellebron destroyed my Stegodon, and then Combat Reform to look over. The Executioners are making their way over. Both Hydras had rallied. The bottom Hydra had beaten my Razagore and is now looking over at my Temple Guard. Those Temple Guard had completely wiped out the Corsairs, so that smaller unit is gone. And from this side of the board, the only really thing to point out is if you look, the Sorceress is now dead from the Spearman, and that's because she tried doing a smaller Pit of Shades on Mazdamundi. I figured that it was a good enough time to feed back and kill her, so with the feedback scroll, she's now dead. And then the template just got it off him anyway, so that was good news. Lizardman turn 3. I thought this was hilarious. My one Salamander moved to the one side to try and flame. Then I rolled really high, so went all the way across and hit my Skinks on the other side. I ended up only killing one Skink, but yeah, it was just kind of funny to see stuff like that happen. Otherwise, my Salamander team moved up and they flamed some witches and then mainly ate more of their own handlers. My Skinks moved into the woods, figuring it was a good safe spot. The one ancient Stegodon with the chief ran over to the side, and really over there I'm just trying to throw him off by making him turn back around, and then also hunting down that cauldron if I can. Mazdamundi and the Engine of the Gods went and charged one Hydra and wiped it out with impact hits, and then my Temple Guard went and charged the other Hydra and beat it and ran it down. So that's really good news. And then on this side, my Saurus rallied, and my Skinks with Croxagore went and beat the last bolt thrower that was up there. Dark Elves turn 4. The witches run after my Salamanders, and I flee and get away. One unit of his Dark Riders charged my Skinks in the woods. I fled thinking I'd get away, but he rolled really high and caught me. His Hydra tried for a super long charge and failed. The Executioners had reformed around to face my Stegodon, but then from his shots from his crossbowmen, he's slowly been bringing these units over here and between some good rolling on his part and some bad armor saves on mine, he killed the ancient Stegodon, and then that last bolt thrower that's in the tower was able to spray and kill the Skink Chief. So at this point that's really bad, because I'm now figuring it in my mind that I'm kind of working for a tie and I need to avoid him. So every time he kills a unit like this, it just makes my chances and hopes for a tie being less and less likely. And then on this side, his Corsairs charge my Saurus, and then once again, because I'm in no rush, I flee, and I'm fine. Lizardman turn 4. First of all, my Skinks with Croxagore charged the crossbowmen. They fled, got away, Then they were right in front of my Temple Guard, so my Temple Guard charged them. They fled, they continued to flee off the board, and I redirected into the Spearmen, beat them in combat along with Mazdamundi, and then they got away, except that they're going to need double ones to not run off the board, and then Mazdamundi turned around. Meanwhile, that Engine of the Gods charged the tower and destroyed that last bolt thrower, and yeah, my Source rally, and between the Engine of the Gods and some flaming and shooting, I kill a few more Corsairs, and it looks like that now all the support is there for me to finally fight Lockyer and all his Corsairs. Dark Elves turn 5. His Corsairs tried charging my Source, but they were out of range. His Dark Riders at the bottom were just kind of chasing my Salamanders. What he tried to do is his top Dark Riders tried charging my Slan in the rear, seeing as how he'd be exposed and he could attack them, but he failed to make it. So he just kind of failed charge out of the woods. Something he surprised me with in his magic phase is that he went and first flew his sorceress out of the unit to where you see him there on the left side, and I thought, well, that's kind of stupid. But what it was for was to do this magical cannonball. So she shot it, I failed to stop it. It hit the Engine of the God, but I passed my initiative test. Failed it on Mazdamundi, but when he was rolling when he was rolling the wound, both Mazdamundi and the Stegodon, he rolled a 1 each time. So, whew, kind of saved myself there. Alright, my turn 5. Had a great combat on the right side. Charged those Corsairs with the Source in the front and the Ancient Stegodon in the back. And between, I did the burning alignment before, I got really good impact hits, really good stomp. I beat them and ran them down, so that's great for points. Then, otherwise, I was able to burning alignment and kill the Dark Riders that were in the forest. I wanted to use Mazdamundi's ruination of cities to destroy the Dark Riders at the bottom, but I foolishly was just out of range. I should have pre-measured that. And now they're going to be able to send my 2 Salamanders off the board, so that's a loss of some points. And then otherwise, I'm just coming over here to kind of team up on this last Hydra, and some Javelins did a wound to it. So Dark Elves turn 6, like I said, his Dark Riders charge them, send them off the board, and then the Dark Riders are off the board too, so I won't be able to cash in on those points. His Hydra then goes and charges. He decides to go for the Skink unit here. I actually do 2 wounds back to him with my Croxagore. That was kind of tough because he again got the spell off to bring down my weapon skill, but yeah, I'm just kind of holding him off. And then with this overall picture, you can see that some of his units are kind of trying to move in, but I mean they're so out of range now. What he tried to do is try and bring in those Executioners to get a long charge in, but they're just so far out. And then on my turn, one thing I should mention is that when I was trying to get these points, I was kind of kicking myself for last turn not going after that lone sorceress. So this turn I was going to really make sure to try and go after her. But first of all, I didn't point Mazdamundi towards her to use his spells. And then when I did the burning alignment and shooting and stuff, I only managed to do 1 wound. So again, I missed out on that big chunk of points. In combat, I wasn't able to finish off the Hydra. And so looking over this, I wasn't feeling very good about my chances. And then here's just another fast picture of this side of the board, just to remind you that he still had his shades and all those crossbowmen and stuff alive as well. So we added up the points because I thought it was a win for him. My opponent was sure that no, I'm a foolish and I actually won this, and it turned out that I won by 800 points. One thing I didn't keep in mind is that with all these Stegodon and characters and things, that there are a lot of points. That Temple Guard unit alone is over 700 points. And, I'd still killed a lot of big units of his. I'd killed the 1 Supreme Sorceress. So one of the things that kind of threw my mind off is that I'd lost this whole left flank. But at the end, I think that's actually what helped me, is because he crushed this side so fast that his 2 main units, the Executioners and the Witch Elves, really had a very small part in the game. So that really helped me out while I was able to crush the right side with the majority of my force. Another interesting thing from this game is magic really played very small effect. I mean, other than the Temple Guard having regen and bring down in the weapon skill and me raising few, it really had a very small effect. So anyway, both my opponent and I had a fun game, and I hope you had fun watching it. So thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you again next weekend. Bye.